Everyone knows that this is the best system in Beyblade X. I'm also 55 pounds. On a serious note though, CX started off mid, and then they got a little bit less mid, but it never reached the heights of the other Beyblade X systems. But Takara Tomy and Hasbro both recently unveiled a new type of CX Beyblade. For Takara Tomy, it's called something along the lines of the Expand Blade, while for Hasbro it gains Infinity. And for this video, just to make everything easier, I'm going to use the Infinity line, so I'm going to say CX Infinity instead of CX Expand Blade. So as I'm sure everyone already knows by now, a CX Beyblade breaks into 3 different parts: the assist blade, the main blade, and the lock chip. And while it's nice to have this extra aspect of customizability to your Beyblade, it kind of held the CX line back in comparison to the BX line or the UX line. Now I'm not saying that CX Infinity is going to magically make CX more viable, because frankly I'm not that smart, but I do still think it looks pretty sick. Now you're probably sitting here asking yourself, how is CX Infinity going to differ from the CX that we've had for like a year now? Well, I'm going to break it all down for you right here, right now. So these Beyblades will actually be getting an additional customizable part, making the blade now 4 different parts combined together. So if you're into the metal generation of Beyblades, this should sound pretty familiar, because the CX Infinity actually add an extra little plastic piece on top of the blade called the overblade. So the main blade is now sandwiched between an overblade and an assist blade with a lock chip locking it in place. The rest of the parts, like the ratchet and the bit, are still going to be the exact same. It's just the main blade that's different here, okay? And right now we're going to take a look at the first 3 releases for this system, or system variation, whatever you want to call it. Now before I list you the parts, let's get the naming down. The chip and the main blade are going to be said together. For example, like how with Drawn Brave, the chip is drawn, the blade is brave, but you say it all together as Drawn Brave. That's what I'm going to be doing for these. And then the assist blade and the overblade I'll be mentioning separately, which the order of that is going to be the overblade and then the assist blade. So first up is the Beyblade that everyone, including me, thought was going to be a Salamander homage, but it is actually Bahamut Blitz Break Knuckle 150 Ignition. That's a mouthful. Now this Beyblade looks really clean, and I'm really excited for 150. It might be really good, or it might just scrape and burst all the time. We'll have to see. Next up is Knight Fortress Guard Vertical 870 Underneedle. So we got like 1 or 2 old parts. I don't know if 870 is old or new, but Underneedle is definitely old. Yeah, the Knight series has really been on an uphill for me. Knight Shield was just okay, it wasn't interesting at all. Knight Lance, I hated. That thing was so ugly. Even when it came out, I hated that design. Not just the design, the colors that they chose for that. Knight Mail, when that came out, that was actually really sick. Like, that's still one of my favorite UX Beyblades. So for me right now, it's 2-2. We'll have to see if they can get another good Knight in the future. The third Beyblade is Ragnar Rage Flow Erase 455 Yielding. So 455 is an old part, but everything else I believe is new. This one I'm the most excited for. I just love Ragnarok's design in Burst, and I love it in X. First one I'm buying. I kind of doubt that Ragnar Rage is going to be good competitively, but I just like the design. Also, there is going to be a stadium set that comes with a recolor of Bahamut Blitz, and you can actually mix this with a recolor of Pegasus Blast to kind of pay homage to one of the Pegasus recolors during Metal Fight. So I saw all of that this morning. I started to record a video, and then in the middle of recording the video, even more news dropped, so I had to postpone recording this video until it got later in the day just in case anything else extra dropped. So let's go over all of this real quick. CX Infinity is not the only Infinity system. We're also getting BX Infinity and UX Infinity. Now from what it looks like, BX Infinity seems to have a metal lock chip. I'm not sure what you call this thing on BX base. I'm just going to call it a lock chip like you do on CX. But yeah, that part right there, that's going to be metal. Now UX Infinity is kind of the reverse of something like the Turbo Bit. You see the Turbo Bit fused a ratchet and a bit together, but the UX Infinity bays, all of them, the blade and the ratchet, are going to be fused together, so the Beyblades are only going to be 2 different parts, There's probably going to be some pretty wicked gimmicks with this. I'm really excited for that. So the first VX Infinity Beyblade that we're going to be getting is Strike Dran 450 Freeball. So this Beyblade kind of looks like a fusion of a Dran Dagger and Dran Sword. You know, at first glance it might look exactly like this, but then you look closer and it has 3 bigger blades with 3 smaller ones kind of in between them. And Free Flat is actually pretty interesting, because if you don't know what that is, it's the flat version of what came on Silver Wolf, which was Free Ball. It just allows it to spin freely when you twist it, instead of how the typical Beyblade X has this clicking. So yeah, pretty excited for that as well. Now on to UX Infinity. We're getting Rocket Griffin Hexa. As I said, these are only 2 parts. Hexa is pretty good. It came on Hell's Hammer. Now this Beyblade looks pretty cool, so let's just hope that it's strong. I'm kind of curious on how the bursting for these Beyblades is going to work, because in Beyblade X, typically you hit the other person's ratchet to burst them, but now there is no ratchet. Then we get a Hasbro Stadium set, where this little black part right here, I think it's going to lift up and down or something like that. Kind of meh. But the Beyblades it comes with is Cutter Shinobi, which also is kind of meh. But it does remind me of these Beyblades that Hasbro did for Metal Fight a while ago, where, you know, I don't know if they were plastic or what, but they were bigger and they were hollower, and they had these big plastic things that would shoot out of them. I don't know, it was just some weird gimmicky thing. Oh yeah, and the bit for that is going to be low flat. The final Beyblade we're going to talk about in today's video is a Rampart Aegis Gear Ball. This one I also feel like has potential to be good. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Wizard Rod or Clock's Mirage. I hope it's good. And that's going to wrap it up for all of the typical Beyblade news today, but I did want to mention just at the end of the video that there is going to be a Funko collab releasing. So let me know down in the comments what characters you think they're going to do. And while you're at it, make sure to like and subscribe, because, you know, I'm trying to reach at least like 250 subscribers by the end of 2026. I'm going to wrap it up now. Take care. Keep blading. Goodbye.